Fascinating.
É isso aí, galera, mais um vídeo com o melhor da década. Se você é fã dos anos 80, não deixe de se inscrever aqui e acompanhar essa viagem no tempo com os discos, músicas, as melhores bandas dos anos 80 que fizeram história da nossa infância e adolescência. Não deixe de se inscrever.
I don't think about what I do, I just do it. You know what I mean? I don't contemplate what I do. I just do things, and I don't even think about the meaning of the lyrics until after I've written them. I'll write a whole song, and then not until the whole thing is finished could I pull the lyrics apart and tell you what they mean. I just believe in doing things in a very natural way.
Okay, here we go. Second question. Who directed the video for True Faith? Fingers on the buzzers. There it is, Stephen.
A French bloke.
French bloke.
Philippe
Napoleon Bonaparte. Jacques Cousteau. Highly unlikely, Bernard. Peter. Peter de Soufflé. I'm getting it in my ear. Correct answer. That's 40 points for you, Stephen. Well played. Could New Order have made the music they've made without drugs? Gillian, I really want something from you here, right?
Yes.
They could have made the music... Well, how do you work that out, then?
And did on several occasions.
No comment.
No comment.
I like writing the music. I really enjoy writing music. I like creating something from nothing. It's the best feeling in the world when you've written a brilliant track and you know it's good.
My favourite New Order song is probably True Faith, or Regret, one of those two, or Blue Monday. Or, actually, no, none of those. Thieves Like Us is my favourite New Order song.
I have tried, you know, sitting down and kind of going, right, let's write a song about... I fancied writing a song about James Anderton once because he came in a particularly annoying spot on the face in Manchester a couple of years ago. But I just couldn't do it, you know. It sounded really corny.
What kind of does come easy to you then when you write music? Or easier?
Kind of bitterness and frustration. We don't want to say anything bitter about him, so I think we'll leave it at that, really.
Perfectly understood. Well, actually, I want you to say something bitter, Bernard.
Where is he?
And we're not going on until you have.
Where is he?
Tony Wilson, the persuasive dada figure, was, of course, becoming the pantomime villain of the piece.
Game show host, very good, that's 2. There's actually 5 listed here.
I mean, I liked him at the time because he was there at gigs and he used to think, oh yeah, and he used to have a telly programme and he used to put Manchester bands on, so he thought, oh yeah, he was one of those kids.
They all have this, which is what I like about pop music, they all have this sense of ecstasy and of somehow being slightly out of control, but then they have a sort of beauty as well. They all have beautiful melodies, possibly apart from Blue Monday. You know, the words are fascinating and sort of, you never quite know what they're about. In some ways, Bernard is quite underrated as a lyricist, you know, because his words are always, as I was saying before, really about this battle between being a hedonist and being a sort of a family man and a respectable person or something. I don't know. And in all those songs, you get this fascination with low life and with sort of comfort or something, the battle between those two things.
Where is Tony?
I don't know. Does anybody know where Tony Wilson is?
And the moaning, right, New Order have never in their lives been able to put a value on the hipness or the still hip quotient that this club gives them. If they weren't part owners of one of the most glamorous and wonderful nightclubs in Europe or the world, then people might notice that they were actually old bezies. Or not.
I lived in a fucking council flat while we were putting 10 grand a week into the hacienda. In anyone's books, that is wrong and ridiculous.
Month.
Thank you.
10 grand a month.
Soft.
Very positive.
Well, at least you
only 10 grand a month.
You could go to the ass, you could piss indoors.
What did you say? Dry, factory?
Hacienda. Dry Hacienda and the office.
And the factory, yeah. It looked nice.
Was it New Order's money?
Was it New Order's money that paid for them? I think some of it was New Order's money ultimately, yeah.
As time goes by, I suddenly realise that music is actually quite an interesting thing, can be kind of an end in itself, and I just got more and more, I don't know, is it introspective, more into music really, rather than just being three lads and a lass on the road.
The idea was we pay royalties to Manchester. Without the alive culture of this city, of this town, right, Joy Division would not have been what they were, New Order would not have been what they were without this town. So while everyone's getting their royalties and getting their money, let's pay a few royalties to the town, which is the idea of building them the best club in Europe.
Can I just say that Tony Wilson is actually just outside?
Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Wilson has arrived.
So I took a trip on the way back from on the way to South Africa. Did a trip down there with Mandela. I stopped by Manchester one night and we hung out. And what I suspected was right. They do like to hang out too.
I think there's two types. I think there's kind of spot a student types, whoops, and there's your kind of football hooligan types. I think we attract those two distinct types. God knows why.
As we got into kind of mid and late 80s, I became more aware of how detached that was from the reality of the band themselves, and actually how inaccurate some people's perception of New Order actually was. And in a way, it wasn't until The World in Motion that in effect they came kind of out of the closet as individuals.
Which one of them went to #1?
I got it.
What was it called?
The World in Motion thing.
And who wrote most of the lyrics?
Stephen A.
Stephen A. It's a sexy show. Let's go mad.
Didn't take very long. And got to #1.
Who went mad first?
I did.
Of course, Paul Gascoigne is a bit of a lunatic,
In the middle of some drama, New Order proved their perversity by producing the 1990 England World Cup song. They made it seem the obvious thing to do.
There was Des Walker, Paul Gascoigne, myself, Peter Beardsley and Chris Waddle were the five who were there. And we all had a go at the rap. And I think that with Peter Beardsley, Chris Waddle and Paul Gascoigne being Geordies, I'd have been very disappointed if I'd asked them to do it instead of me. So I think it was really just down to me or Des Walker. I remember when we were doing the record, he said, right, sing this line, so we're just reading it, because we don't know the words, we didn't know anything about it. So we'd sing it and we'd think, that sounded terrible, and then he said, right, fine, on to the next one. Did the next line, but of course they twiddled some knobs in there, then we went in to hear the final product, and it was like, no ways that us. To be less inhibited, I think that we needed a few drinks to calm us down. Some of us probably had a bit too much, so they were too calm at the time, but we had a good day.
I've never actually met Tony Wilson, ladies and gentlemen, but...
New Order's truly strange first #1 was, of course, their last record for Factory.
Tony Wilson, I'm so honoured to meet you. I've heard so much about you.
John Barnes was really good.
I was well behaved. Have you heard anything to the contrary?
Along with children and animals don't work with sports.
Well, there you go. He was quite shocked. I thought it was just a normal day.
I mean, I just think it's one of these things where in a group you can exploit life, it's like, it's such a great chance to meet people like that, whereas normally you wouldn't get a sniff.
I've been making records since 1966. I've only seen these guys twice.
It's just nice to see people happy. It's also nice to see people shouting fuck off at you and things like that, it's like, you're up there, aren't you? You can do whatever you want and get away with it.
Tony ran Factory the way Tony wanted to run Factory. New Order ran New Order exactly the way they wanted to run New Order. I mean, there were no record company executives determining how they lived their lives. I was given carte blanche to get on and produce graphic design and an identity for the label and for the band, basically in almost in a vacuum. So everybody feels that they've done their bit. The different bits actually slotted together into any kind of cohesive story is probably quite remarkable. It became undone really just for some very basic fundamental reasons of business. Nobody really wanted to play the businessman.
The thing about gigs is you can come off stage thinking you've done the worst gig ever,
and there's somebody who'll always come up to you and say that was great, that was terrific, that's best band in the world. And how do you react to that?
You don't like musicians, do you?
I love music. And I love the people who are musicians. And I'm very fond of Stephen and Barney and Hooky and Jimmy. But as musicians, they're musicians. So they have to be. For the integrity of the universe, they have to be arseholes. Because musicians are. Whenever musicians behave well, it kind of undermines the unity of the universe.
I said.
You could never understand your vocals anyway. Speak up.
I said he's a bleeding parasite. And he's got a tooth missing
A
at the
parasite
left-hand
with no
side.
blood. I got no teeth left.
Why is that, Tommy?
It's a parasitic relationship. I'll vote for that one.
Bloodsucker.
Yes.
I mean, we took singles that weren't really singles and didn't have singles on the album, and we sort of did everything that we thought was right, and they never sort of intervened.
The choice of how the singles come out, the fact that singles aren't on albums, the whole schlock of it, how it's all done, was always their decision.
I like Tony a lot. You know, I mean, it's just a shame that, you know, it didn't work. Which is a great thing, but I think he's one of these people that, you know, you can hate the guts, and when you're not with him, as soon as you're with him, you know, the whole thing disappears, and it's just like your mate again. You remember why you did what you did.
Tony always has had the gift of the gab.
They think that other groups have a very nice life and have a very easy life and don't have to go to complicated meetings and get their money paid every month and are happy. I think those other musicians are bored shitless and would have liked to have been Joy Division New Order. And we'll find out now. We'll find out whether the boys and girls get bored.
What do you think?
I think they'll get bored, but I think they may like being bored.
I've never seen him play in person. I'm really looking forward to that.
Is that why you invited them?
Huh?
Is that why you
Still
invited
some
them?
way I can get to do it.
The ironic thing is about the Hacienda that it used to be a bloody yacht showroom.
And you always wanted a yacht?
All I want out of life is a yacht.
Why do some more gigs?
Get one.
You get the ideal place to do some more gigs, you'll get a yacht.
Buy the showroom first.
The factory ship going down, and it was, at the time it was actually happening, wasn't really that funny.
A marriage made in Manchester.
We did it again. No, the reason we did dry was because we were sure. We wanted to prove to ourselves that nobody could make the same mistake twice. And we did. We did. And we did make the same mistake twice.
No, to be fair to us, we have actually had many a laugh over the fact that we did it twice.
Yeah, that is funny. Isn't it?
Wasn't my idea.
Not my idea. So let's bring in the man whose idea it was.
Whose idea was it then?
Rob! Come on, Rob.
Then we did it again. That's true, yes. Oh, dear.
Focus your camera on this nightclub here. In fact, should we buy it?
Oh, come on,
By your logic, if we buy it, we can go in there wearing whatever we want.
And get free drinks.
Right on.
Cheap.
Cheap.
Free drinks cheap.
I'd just like to say one thing about the Hacienda. I'm slightly biased because on the opening night, right, I had to pay to get in.
Oh, fuck
And it took me 9 years to get one free drink. Gillian's sister used to get in on the guest list by impersonating Gillian. I'm not a bitter man.
We didn't want a club, we'd had the factory. Erasmus and myself, we'd had the factory, that was a nightmare. Oh no, not a club, so Gretton insisted. So he should get the blame for that.
Perhaps you can explain to us the order of events.
No. Too pissed.
Too pissed, ladies and gentlemen. Another example of secrecy.
It's been one long, wonderful nightmare.
Who's Alan Erasmus?
The spiritual presence.
And what have you done to him?
Upsetting.
Have you upset a lot of people?
Yeah. I don't know why, I'm a nice guy, really.
But how important has Rob been?
Absolutely, positive and negative.
Is he the key to it all?
Yeah.
Is this really Rob Gretton's story?
Yeah, but he isn't on TV. You'd like to be.
You ask, why do I do it? Because of the music. That's the answer. Because I like the music.
One or two other people, colleagues, who are not part of the loop this time round, said to me disparaging things about the album.
Peter, will you please describe the album cover, Republic?
Late.
And I suddenly thought to myself, I don't know what feelings I would have, but I don't want to have those feelings to feel negatively about it, so no, I haven't listened to the album. I didn't buy Stars either. Sorry, Mick.
Whose idea was it to start doing Republic? I have to say, in all honesty, I don't really know. We just sort of drifted back together and started writing a record.
One of the heartbreaking things about it was that people thought you were getting back together again to help Factory, and it wasn't. It comes out of that thing about doing things for yourself. It was for us. We did it, not for anybody else.
Why didn't they leave Factory earlier?
No comment.
What do you think London thought they were signing?
I think by the time we actually signed, I don't think they knew what the fuck was happening. Neither do we, really. And we still don't. So, neither do they. They don't know either, so...
How's it working then?
Shit.
I think they thought they bought a load of trouble, and I think they're right.
New Order couldn't possibly have signed to Sony because Sony is a very, very corporate company in a way that, London, although it's part of a multinational company, it has some kind of history and its own identity within that corporation, so I think they might find that easier to deal with.
Fundamentally, they wanted to be with a major label. They'd been with an independent label for all those years. And I think they'd grown up and they'd established themselves as artists, and that had given them the right to have complete control of their own career. And they continue to have that right in a major label. I think it was probably the time for them to be in a major label.
The point about contracts is that if you work with people you trust and they trust you, then it shouldn't have to happen. So it wasn't one of the happiest moments of my life.
No, I wasn't sad about signing to a major. To be honest, it was a relief.
I think it would have finished us off if we would have carried on with Factory, really.
The only thing I'd like to say about New Order now, really, is that Regret is an absolutely fantastic single. And after that, anything could happen.
We've shared something here today. And there is an undoubted feeling, an aura, if you like, that permeates the whole studio. It's a kind of bitterness, a kind of creeping loathing, that when one considers the fabulously inspired, magnificent landscape upon which Factory Records and New Order in particular placed their little farmhouse, there was hope, there was a future, and now, ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing.
Ever been any moments during the history of New Order where you felt yourself going slightly mad?
No, I don't think so, no. No, I'm quite a together person, really.
So what's your behaviour like when you go on tour?
Depends what sort of physical state I'm in, really, because it takes it out of you a lot, especially our kind of touring. If I'm not too good physically, I'm a bit bad-tempered, shall we say. But then out we are.
He's up there.
Very friendly with Bono from U2. And he was just, when he was doing his film in Los Angeles, he came by the house one night and he liked the places where he got a house in Strada Vecchia, which is about a block from me, and he was up to the house all the time. And I was asking him about his influences, and he said his main influence was New Order for U2. U2's main influence was New Order.
Have there ever been moments, Julian, when you felt that you were slipping into some kind of madness because you seem so kind of level-headed, and yet the group and yourself into some quite strange things?
No, only when you're on tour, really, it starts turning into Spinal Tap. Thank God you realise that you are turning into Spinal Tap and getting upset about the slightest little thing. That's how you think you're going mad, but at least you can recognise it.
After such a gap, now you sort of realise how much you missed it, so it was very, very nice, and it's nice we played. It was hard to get out there.
When did Stephen and Gillian get engaged?
I know.
Peter's got the answer.
It was when we were in camp.
When they were in camp, ladies and gentlemen, they just got engaged. A big round of applause. Yes. Stephen and Gillian.
Why?
Thank you very much.
This is the apparent story of New Order, who became an unlikely institution, whose record company collapsed around them, whose 4 members needed, after all these years, to spend time on their own projects, who appeared to split up, who seemed to love each other, then hate each other, then somewhere in between. They never could make up their minds about anything, really. They found another way to recover, to begin again. By doing something they said they would never do, they moved to London. They signed to London Records. They pretended to go glossy, just to see what it would be like. This is the story of how nothing could stop them, not even themselves, of how they took their time and their punishment, and how they just kept on making their music. Music that ultimately, for all the craziness and horror and heartache, is the thing that really matters. After all, it's that simple. It's that absurd.
I often wonder if I snuffed it. Would you two do as well? Probably. Much better.
I mean, we're still a fairly peculiar little group. We've got our idiosyncrasy.
This is the innocent story of New Order. Dumb, fearless musicians at large in a world of confused art and stern commerce, where everything, for better or worse, goes. This is the end of the story. And this is the beginning of the story. Maybe.
I think they're beautiful. But you know what? I wish they would come out on the road more.
I understand in the UK people saying, is this the last New Order record? I think that's foolish to ask them. I don't think they know. I don't think they ever knew. I don't think you can never predict the future. I think that they now know enough about themselves that they want New Order to continue, that something comes out of them when they do New Order that they can't accomplish in their solo projects.
I mean, I must admit, after Technique, yeah, there were times I thought there'd never be another New Order album. Sometimes now, I think there'll never be another New Order album.
I can't say at this moment.
Would you like them to?
Not sure.
Proud in the sense that we're still here, I suppose, in the face of adversity recently. Proud of what we've done some good records, I think. And largely in a way that no other band has done before. I think, yeah, I'm proud of that.
Basically, the legend probably around the group about them having some master plot on becoming the trendiest group of all time is just not true. We've all made it up. They didn't do anything just because of the way you sort of look at them. I don't know. Maybe that's true of most legends.
The essence of what we joined a group to be and to do has changed completely over the years. We've become a pop band. I was saying it last night when we did Softly Pop, so I felt very strange doing it because I never really wanted to be in a pop band. But we never set out to be pop stars, did we? We set out because we,
I think that's the crux of it. We're not.
But we exist, whether you like it or not. We exist in a pop world.
Yeah, and people expect you to do pop things, to be pop-tastic.
But on the other hand, we enjoy the additional exposure that being in that world gives to music, and the fact that it gives you power, and that a lot of people will hear your music. A lot more people will hear your music. Then
I've just got to say something, but you obviously run out of film.
He's a musician. That means he's a mean bastard.
Hey. Just again. You cunt. Go on. Yeah. You ruined my career.
No, I think I'm in the right band for what I do. I'm fine.
Finished.